Hi guys, Squall here. Welcome to another episode of my realistic playthrough of Derail Valley. I'm happy to say that after the last episode, it's finally stopped raining. It seemed to rain for a long time. I'm just bringing these three locomotives in for a quick service. Let's get it slowed down here. Yeah, so we've basically got two museum locomotives, and then the one on the back is a hired locomotive. And what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to get all three of these serviced up. We're going to park this DH4, the rented one. We're going to park it up in one of the bays here. And I think I might take that DE6 over there, is my plan. What I'd like to do initially, though, is we'll go and recover the Slug from Steve's garage. So I shall get this lot serviced up, and then we'll get started. Right, so what I've done is I've put my DE6 just over there. I'm going to park this up just about here. There we go. So we're going to leave this DE6 parked up here. And my intention is to use our DH4. We're going to reverse it all the way through the E-yard at Harbour. And we're going to come up this little side road down the bottom here. That goes to Steve's garage, which is here, and that contains the Slug for the DE6. So I'm going to pull it out with her, and then we're going to push it back through here and connect it to the back of our DE6, and then put this DE6 on the back of it. So the Slug will be sandwiched in between two DE6s, and then I'll put the DH4 connected behind it. And what that means is we've basically got two DE6s as our powerhouse, with a Slug in between them, which will help put down even more traction. So we'll be able to take really heavy stuff. And the DH4, oh hello cat, the DH4 will be on the back, mostly just as a remote control. I probably won't even power it up, because it will be, compared to these guys, it won't do a great deal. I mean, we could use it, but I don't intend to use it. Anyway, so let's turn this thing off, get in our DH4, and probably have a little sleep so it's morning so we can see what we're doing. Well, a very good morning, and it's just turned 6 AM, so the weather forecast should be accurate, and it looks like we're in for a pretty decent day. Bit misty, a little bit of cloud, but otherwise not really raining, so that's pretty nice weather. Right then, let's go and fire up the DH4 and pull this Slug out of here. Now, the thing is about the road up to Steve's garage is crazy. It is the only word I can really think of. It's a crazy, windy road with some absolutely insane speed limits, which is why I'm only taking the DH4. The temptation is to go up there in your DE6, but as you'll see, and you can perhaps see from the diagram, some of the turns are horrendous. You can do it in a DE6, but it's just a lot easier in a DH4, so that's what we're going to do. Once we've done that, we'll then have a look at the job situation. We're on 668k. We've still got two locomotives to find. The steam ones mostly. The 282 and the SO60 is the main thing to find. And looking at the map, I'm kind of trying to remember where we've been and where we've not been. We've not been to Coal Mine East, so there could be something there. That's one thing to say. I don't believe we went to the oil refinery. I can't remember. We may have been through Forest Central in the previous episode. It's getting hard to remember, to be quite honest. But, you know, if you're watching these back to back, you're probably like, yeah, I can tell you exactly where you've been. But I can't, because this has been done over quite a few weeks now. I think the oil refinery is a target for us. We've got to go here. We've definitely been to here and here, and there was nothing there. Oil Well North, I think we went to and looked around. So really, it's Coal Mine East and the oil refinery is a major target for us to go and look at, and possibly the sawmill, because I can't remember if we went to the sawmill either. But we need to find these things. We need to go and find these locomotives. That's not to say that they are going to be at a station. There are some spawn points that are down the side of a valley into the water that can be particularly tricky, and we may, on my playthrough, I may have, spawned a really bad one. We won't know. Let's try and work our way through the stations and then see where we are. Alright, this is the road to Steve's garage. Let me just double check we have the key. Yes, we do. Reginald, Steve's, and Old Bob's. Okay, so we don't have the caboose yet. We need to probably go and get that, which I think, if I remember, is here. And we don't have the little electric vehicle, the BE2, I think it is. So they're the 3 keys that we've not actually used yet. The next time we go up to Iron Mine West, we do need to go and pull this out of there. We can probably leave it up at the Iron Mine West as well. It's all right, the BE2. It's a little electric shunter. It can be useful, but it's not particularly capable. Oh my god! Look at this. Did I mention the slope? I don't think I mentioned the slope. Absolutely crazy slope. And this is the other thing: is when we do pull this slug out of here, we've got to be careful managing our descent because this is a crazy, crazy slope. Steve was a crazy guy when he built his garage, all I can say. But it's quite a nice view today, out the harbour. The weather's good. There you go, there's our first speed limit, 20. Let's get the brake on here. There we go. So you see that, look at the climbing turns, look at this. It's almost like Steve built the tunnel himself with a pickaxe and just winged it. They certainly make you work for this bit. So that's a 20 turn. Now we've got a 10km/h speed limit here on this turn. That's, I think, the sharpest of it. And then you can see it zigzags its way up to the garage. Don't think we'd ever see a spawn loco down here, but I am indeed looking. Right, you need to slow right down here. Now you can imagine with these turns what a DE6 would be like up here. It's not going to love it. It has a very long body with quite a large distance between the axles, and so these really sharp turns, it really doesn't like them. Steady. Another tree in the way. I can't imagine anybody comes up here very often. But yeah, you can say if you do actually derail here, if you're going a little bit too ham down this hill, you're not going to be in for a fun time. That's for sure. This reminds me of some of the old roller coasters I used to go on as a kid, where it had these really sharp turns and steep drops. Come on, keep the power. There's a 30 limit up there, so it does increase after this. I think that's probably the most dangerous corner, just because it's an outside bend with a steep drop. Right. Let's pick up some speed. If you're not unsure, just listen to what the wheels are doing. If the wheels start making squealing noises, that's a good sign that you're stressing them and you're on the limit. 20 there. Followed by a dead end. I do wonder if he'll develop the rest of this map into a bigger one. I know they're working on a new map, but I do wonder if they're going to develop this map even bigger. I would love it if the map was basically 4 times the size of what it currently is. That's not a lot to ask, is it? But it would be cool, because you could do some really long runs then, and that's a lot of the fun. I also wish you'd let us clean these windows. If you could buy cleaning products from the shop. Actually, that would be really good, wouldn't it? Is if over time, this window where it's not in the wiper, just like your car, just gets dirtier and dirtier and just absolutely filthy. But from the shop, you can buy a sponge and some cleaning stuff and just clean it all up. I think that'd be awesome. Right, here we are. Let's just put the old brake on right now. Go and see what we've got. Steve's key in the hand. There we go. The grand opening. Dun dun dun. So basically, it looks exactly like the bottom half of a D6, because it is. It is the bottom half of a D6. The main difference is, while you've basically got all the engines and traction motors here, you've got huge concrete blocks. And it takes all of its power from whatever it's connected to. The traction motors are down here on the axles, and then there's concrete blocks sitting on top of the whole thing. Let's get this thing connected. Whoa, steady, steady. Wow, that came in a bit hot. Let's connect that. Lock it in place. Let's connect the blue cable. The red cable. Handbrake is coming off. Double check everything. Yeah, all looks good to me. Right, let's get on board and drive. Now, we are facing backwards. Then that is for a good reason, so I can push this thing later. Let's put it in reverse gear. Pull it out of there. Now, this does make driving slightly awkward because it means I can't easily look at my clinometer whilst looking the correct way. So there is that, but in theory, you could also reverse up here and grab it. I don't think it makes any difference. Either way, you're going to be going either backwards up or backwards down. Remember, our first limit is the 20-kilometer bend. They got speed limits in this direction. Now, that thing does weigh quite a bit, just bear that in mind. I can't remember the exact weight of it, but it's not lightweight. Some braking going here. Here's the 10 limit. Now this thing's starting to push us quite aggressively down this slope. There we go, 12. That should do us round that bend. What's the limit here, I wonder? Should we assume 20 again? Steep drop. Our clinometer's pointing the wrong way because it obviously is detecting forward as an up incline and we're actually looking backward. But it basically is the opposite. It's minus 3.4, 3.5 minus 4. Slow it down a little bit. I don't like going too quick down here. There's a limit of 30 there. I think 20 is probably a good speed unless you see that 10 sign. I think you'll be safe doing that. This is another reason why I didn't want to do this at night. I needed good visibility because I can't remember all the speed limits and you need to visually see things. Backing off slightly. It's definitely easier coming down. You just got to control the braking. Okay, I think we can pick up speed. I think we're over the worst of it now. There is a... I think that... Was that tunnel 20? Yeah. Okay. brake. So yeah, it's my advice to just take your time coming down here. There's no particular rush. The varying slope will really play around with your braking and acceleration. That's the main pain. And then after this turn, we are good to go. And it only just fits through here. Steve did not leave a lot of room. I reckon Steve was responsible for the London Underground. Okay, right, we can start to pick up speed now. We've got a 50 limit. Just don't forget the slope, though. It is brutal. All right, brakes off. And we have ourselves a DE6 Slug. Look at that bridge there. That's the bridge we came up with that 4% gradient. We're about to go back down again. This is like a roller coaster coming down here. Look at it. I'm just going to put some brake on. Because that... I do not trust the game. Minus 1.4? Yeah, sure, mate. In your dreams. Yeah, 40's good. 40 is good. Right, that's the worst of it. Right, we're done here. We've got it. Let's go and put this thing on the back of our DE6. I'll release the brakes now. We just need to head back through the E-yard, which is there. That is pretty much, I think, the only time you will ever flick that particular switch there to go up to Steve's garage. There's never any other reason to go that way. It's a complete dead end. Unless they expand the map, it will remain so. Let's take her back. There she is. Let's get ready with the old chain. That sounded loud, but it wasn't really. No, seriously. I was going pretty slow. That just sounded extremely loud. Hopefully it didn't cause any damage. Let's have a look. It should be on 100%. It is on 100%. Right, so there you go. So that thing weighs 125 tons. Bearing in mind, a normal D6 weighs 120 tons. So this is heavier than that. Let me just turn this engine off. Okay, we're also on a brake cut that one out now. Do I leave the cab light on? Yeah, let's leave the cab light on. I'm just going to put the handbrake... Oh, that one's already on. That's fine. I will cut the brake in on that one because we will use that to power the rest of it. Yeah, so effectively, you know, you've got, what, 120 plus 120 is 240. 240 plus... That is 365. 365 tons. Right there. And that's before you've even connected anything. And then we've got the DH4 on the back of it all. And then the thing that we're trying to haul. So it's quite a lot. But, you know, we're making good money now. We can afford it all. And we've got a lot of hauling capability there. It opens the door, basically, for multiple jobs. Multiple heavy jobs as well. That's the important thing. We're going to have a look through the manual and work out some numbers just to make sure that we know roughly what we're capable of hauling, because the danger is we just start thinking that that thing's invincible and pick a load of jobs and bite off more than we can chew. So we're going to go back to the station now, have a look at the jobs available and work out some numbers. Right, so looking at the manual, we can see that the DH4 is about 13 meters and has a wet weight of about 77.5 tons, so I'll call that 78 tons. We've then got the DE6. The DE6 has 18.6 meters, which is I'll call that 19. And then it has a wet weight of 125 tons. So the number you saw on the side, 120, was the dry weight. So we'll look at the wet weight, which is 125. So if we've got 2 D6s, we've basically got 250 tons right there. That's what we're looking at. So we'll work out the totals in a second. Now, on the wet, this can handle 2% 1,000 tons. In the dry, it can handle 1,200 up a 2% gradient, and then 1,000 tons on the flat. So you'll look at the Slug, and you'll see it has no ratings at all because it is just a traction engine. That's all it is. But it only has a dry weight, and that's listed at 125. So if I add all that up, let me get my calculator out. So working all that out, we've got a 30 meters, 2 90 meters, and a 70 meters, 68 meters total length. We've got a 78 ton, 2 and 325 tons, which is a total gross weight of 453 tons. That's our weight. And in terms of gradients, on the flat, we should be able to handle 8,000 tons of cargo. Up a 2% gradient, we should be able to handle 3,000 tons, and 2% in the wet, we should be able to handle 2,500 tons. So we have a lot of capability, but that is with all of those locomotives turned on, and that, as I said many, many times, is not completely accurate. So, you know, be careful we don't bite off more than we can chew. But up a 2% gradient, we can do 3,000 tons in the dry. That's a pretty good metric. Right, let's have a look. We've got a whole bunch of jobs here. Who knows what we've got. Something high value would be nice. We can also go and look at the military. I'm going to have a look through these, and then I shall show you what I think are the best options. Right, so having looked through the normal jobs, I popped over to the military office, and you never believe what's here. Oh my god. Look at this one on the right. Deliver spent nuclear fuel. $265,000 for one job. I mean, there's 600 tons, which is not really a lot, but good grief. I mean, with the bonus, that's the best part of 400k right there. And then there's 2 more that go there as well that are not particularly shabby. And they all go into B4I, so it's literally just take them there and drop them off and be paid a lot of money. So I can't ignore that. And then just to add insult to injury, there's an unload some stuff here, classified, for 70k, which if I do that, I'm going to get paid 100k. So I'm going to quickly do this job with the DH4 and put another 100 grand in our pocket, and then we'll have a look at the other jobs and see if we can line anything up with a trip to the military base. A trip to the military base, we could go out the east side to get to. Annoyingly, if we go to the east side, there's nowhere to really drop off on the way. You know, it's in the prospect of multiple jobs. The only way to do military base from harbour and do a multi-drop is effectively the steel mill. So you come this way, drop at the steel mill. You could make a drop at the Orwell North or the goods factory and then carry on and go back up that loop that we went through in the last episode, I think. That's the only way. But, I mean, what you don't want to be doing is risking that time bonus. That's 88 minutes. It's not a lot of time if you start multi-dropping. And if you don't get the bonus on that, you know, you're not going to do many jobs that will basically recover that lost bonus. So I'll do this quickly job here with the DH4, and then we'll have a look at the main jobs and see if we can get something tied up. Right, I've done that now. I've unloaded them, and I had to put the 2 pieces in separate tracks. They're all down there, so we're just going to quickly hand this in. And that is a very easy payday, that is. Look at that. 100 grand. 100 grand for that. It feels like stealing, feels like robbery. Empty cars. Oh, they're the... Yeah, look, so they're the cars that we just unloaded. And now it's generated jobs for them as well. I really wish they paid more because, honestly, they're such a hassle, these logistic jobs, quite honestly. Right, let's nip over to the station and we'll see what we can pair up with this and then make some decisions. Right, I've sorted through these jobs here. And really, fundamentally, it boils down to 2 things. Either we do that job to the military base and there really isn't much to go with it apart from the steel mill job. We drop that off at the steel mill and then just carry on and do the high-paying job to the military base, or do something more challenging and interesting, which probably won't pay as much as the military job, but will be a heck of a lot more fun. So I think we're going to go with plan B. And really, if you look at this here, we've got 2 jobs to the farm. So there's already like 2 jobs lined up there. There's 1 to the coal power plant. Remember, the coal power plant's here. So we're going to go on the way to the farm. I don't think there are any here for the Orwell Central. But there are City West jobs. So these City West jobs, so we drop at the farm, drop at City West, drop at Coal Mill. That's 5 jobs right there. And then over here, we can also pick up extra stuff. I said I wanted to go to the oil refinery because I want to look around there to see if there's any locomotives. There is a job for the oil refinery, which we could get after the coal power plant. We could then loop through it and come back out and do oil refinery. And then we may as well carry on to the food factory where there's a more stack of jobs here as well. So I'm going to pick some jobs here, do some maths, and I think what I'm about to do is crazy, but it'll be fun. This is what I've selected, and it's quite a challenge. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 jobs in total. The first stop will be at the farm, dropping these 2 off. They both go into the same place, I think. Yep, so they're both into B2I, so that's an easy drop. We then carry on to City West. This is C2I and C3I. So City West, we go past it, reverse, drop, pull forward, drop. Then we go up to the coal power plant. Coal power plant is a tricky one because it's a bit of a loop, but we're going to navigate our way in to drop that off at B5I. And then we're off to the oil refinery for A2S because that's a storage yard. That's going to be a bit of a pain. At this point, I'm kind of not realistically expecting to get the bonus on these last 3. I want to get the bonus on these first 5. If I get any bonus on these, that will itself be a bonus. But I'm quite happy to just get paid for normal rates on that. When we're at the coal power plant, we will, of course, look what jobs there are. Same at City West to see if there's anything going this way. There could be City West stuff, possibly to Food Factory. So we may be able to pick up something extra. But the issue is things like dropping off at the oil refinery into a storage yard. If you then add another job onto the back of it, it's no longer at the end of your train, and it makes it tricky. So that's a consideration. And then finally up at the food factory, C1S and C6I. So C6I will probably be the easier drop. That would be our last drop. So the order that we collect these is in fact quite important because what you want to do is you want to have this one here needs to be closest to the engines, if you like. So if I was reordering this now, I'd put that there like that. Then I would take in that one because I'll be dropping that one off last, that one off second. So I'm working backwards now. Then I'll take the oil refinery job because that will drop then. So come back from that. Then we've got the coal power plants. And then C3I, C2I, doesn't really matter, but I like to drop off the high value one first to make sure you get the bonus. So I'd load that onto the train before I then load that one onto the train, if you see what I mean. So this would be dropped before that one, etc. And then finally, again, same thing. I would look at these and say, well, this has a lower value. I'm going to put this down here now. So I'd have this going on, basically. And it's important to sort of, you know, plan this kind of job because it is quite complicated. But essentially, it would look something like this. I could tidy it up a little bit. There you go. So we'd basically pick this one up first, but drop it last. So it's kind of first in, last out. So this one, then this one, then this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. So we're dropping this guy first, 2 of them into B2I at the farm. We've then got C2I, C3I drop. Have a look if there's anything that we want to take to the food factory. But bear in mind, if we do take something to the food factory, we'd probably want to stick it in before this lot. So we'd have to insert it into the consist, which would take a risk on this then, not being bonused. So I'd probably not take anything for City West. Just focus on that. That is a total of 8 jobs. My inventory space is not big enough to hold all these things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we won't be able to flick through them easily, but we can move that out the way. If I unlock that. Put our wallet there for now. Strictly speaking, we could probably move one of these, but they are pretty useful to have around. So, yeah, it is what it is. The annoying thing is I've got to go and build this consist up now. I've got to go and take 8 jobs from the yard. And you can see the scattered G, E yard. Actually, most of them are in E and G. There's one in D there, annoyingly. But I've got to get them all in the right order and prepared. And then we're going to be heading out west, out the harbour. And we're going to be going this way, the usual way, into the farm, into City West, into coal power plant, out through the oil refinery, and ultimately end up in the food factory. And then we'll see what we've got. And I can't believe I'm turning down a $250,000 job for nuclear fuel. That's just insane. That job doesn't come in very often, and to turn it down is insane. But I think this is a better challenge. This is more fun. And it'll also test... Oh, I added it all up. Total consist weight, 2,695 tons, which is within the limit that we calculated of 3,000. That's with the DH4 turned on. So that's going to require all hands on deck out of the harbour, and then we can turn off the DH4. Yeah. All right, I'll get started on this. I'm going to build out the train. Now, as you may notice, it's actually early evening now. The lights have come on. The sun is going down. And when I started assembling these jobs together, it was the middle of the day. And now it's not. Now it's early evening. It's not a massive issue, but I don't know what the weather's going to do past 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. But I think this is mostly now going to be a night run by the look of it. I've got this job here, which is the one that's connected first to the loco. I'm just pushing it into the back of this lot here on 5.0. That's then connected. Well, that will then be pushed down to... If I just bring this map up here, just to the east of the harbour, where I've been assembling stuff. I've been assembling it here. What I did was I took some stuff out of E and I pushed it out that way, and took some more, pushed it that way, got something out of D, pushed it out that way. Stuff out of G I then pushed straight out, and I've basically done that and built it up there. I had to enlist the help of a DE6 because that is a slope out of harbour, and it started to get heavier and heavier, and the DH4 couldn't handle it anymore, so I got a DE6 on the front. But now we're basically on the final stretch in terms of assembling this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect all this together and then probably pull it forward here into this yard, and then I'm going to walk the length of it and double check that I've got all the jobs in the right order, because honestly this has taken so long that I may very well easily have got this wrong. We shall see. It is quite a long, heavy train, I will say that much. Like, some of the jobs that I put together, even they were pretty heavy. So the whole thing is adding up to be quite a lot. Look at that. Is that going to fit? Ooh, it just about fit. Lovely. Let's get that on there. And you know, when you get these bigger jobs, you tend to notice it in all kinds of ways. Most notably, you notice it in terms of brake lines. You hear the pressurization on the brake line. It takes longer to release the brakes. You feel the weight when you start to push it. It's all cool. You know, this is what you get with a proper simulator. But it is quite fun when you actually experience it. Right, let's push this down to there. You can't quite see the job at the moment. I've got the rest of it on the held by 2 handbrakes right now, and it seems to be holding. One handbrake wasn't quite enough. I saw movement in the train, so I stuck 2 handbrakes on it. It seemed to be quite happy. But there's best part of 2,000 tons on that slope right now. So we're just going to push this forward. You can see I've taken a lot of stuff from the yard. I've taken stuff from those tracks, one from this track, 1 or 2 items out of that yard, the D yard. It's been crazy. We are taking a lot of stuff out of this harbour. And I'm quite looking forward to this, to be honest with you. Right, where is the... He says fallen off. Where is the rest of my train? I'm actually starting to get a little worried. I definitely left it there. The good thing about the harbour is it's a slope into it either way. It's a basin. All roads lead down to the harbour, so if anything... if anything went, if any brakes went, they would have a tendency to roll back towards the harbour, not roll away from it, which is a good thing. Same situation with the food factory. Not so with the machine factory. Machine factory, the roads drop away from it, so yeah, things will roll off if you're not careful. There it is. Let's slow it down. I'm glad I've got all this connected before it got dark though, because it gets a lot trickier at night. Assembling consists together. Yeah, you can see I stopped it just after the switch. Let's get that chain on quick. There we go. Lock, please, thank you. Listen for that. These already had some pressure in them, so they won't take long to fill up, but I haven't added the total length up yet. But you can already see it's quite a lot. Right, let's get all this pulled forward and I'll do some maths. I've already worked out the weight of it. We've got 2695 tons of cargo, plus the weight of the trains at 453, so the weight of the loco is at 453, including the slug. So what's that? Quite a lot, I think. I also need to push forward and get everything connected to the slug and the other DE6. Ow, it's taking its time. There we go. There's a lot of weight here, good grief. Right. So yeah, 2695 plus the 453 tons of the locos. That's 3148 in my books. That's going to be the total weight of our entire train. What are we on here? We're on 50, aren't we? Okay, the train's actually going the wrong way right now. 1 second. Put the brakes on, please. Something isn't right here. The brakes are cut in for sure. Main reservoir pressure is there. Reverser was in forward. Blue cable is connected. I've got a feel. If I'd left a handbrake on, it would have lit up. Let's just let it settle down. Okay, try again. I think maybe the rear of the train hadn't released its brakes or something. It does feel like there's a handbrake on. Even though there definitely should not be. Because if there was, inside of here, it would be flashing. But it's not flashing. That could have just been a brake release problem at the back of the train. There we go. I may also be at the limit of the physics of this game, I don't know. Having so many cars being simulated physics-wise could be causing some issues. It appears to be moving now. Let's get inside, put some lights on. Right, I'm going to get this thing down the bottom of the yard and we'll have a look at it. No, it's done it again. It's done it again. It definitely thinks there's a handbrake on. There's definitely a brake issue. Okay, let me have a look at this and see if I can figure it out. Right, you may notice that this is now going dark and the street lights are on and yeah. It was midday, wasn't it? But it's taken me all afternoon in game terms to put this together. What I did was I assembled everything east, out of the harbour here, just to the east. I basically pushed things out of the E yard over here. I then took things out of D, pushed them out that way, pushed anything through G. Just basically pushed everything out here. It was a lot easier to just assemble it that way in pieces. So I put a bit of the train out there. I then got some more, pushed that out there and just built it up. Obviously, it's a slope out of the harbour in either side. It's in a basin, really. And so, as it got heavier and heavier, the train on that slope, the DH4 couldn't handle it, so I had to attach a D6 to the front. So I borrowed a D6 from our loco set at the front of the west side of the harbour, and used that and basically pushed it all up the slope. I've now assembled it. What I now need to do is get these two, which is basically this job here, which is next to the train, and then this job, which is what I'm stood on here. And we're going to connect this up to the very back of the train, which has been sat there being held by 2 handbrakes. Now, luckily, there's still some daylight left, so I can see what I'm doing. But we're just going to connect these up, and then we're going to pull it forward into the E-yard, and then we're going to inspect it, because the chances of me getting something wrong on a job this size are pretty reasonable. It's taken quite a lot of focus to line everything up, connect things the right way, connect them in the right order, and so there is a good potential of me making a mistake. So I want to kind of check everything before we haul it out. There was only 2 handbrakes, yeah. It is quite a long train, it's quite a heavy train, so we worked out that the actual cargo we're carrying, the train weight, is 2695, so basically 2,700 tons. Our locos, with the 2 DE6s and the Slug and the DH4, they weigh 453 tons, and added together, that comes to 3,148 tons. So quite a lot of weight is on here. That's lit up. Wait, that's lit up backwards. What's that doing? It should be that way. There we go. Quite a lot of weight going on here. So what we'll do now is we'll just release the old brakes, and I'm looking to basically pull this all forward into the E-yard, and then we're going to go through this in order and make sure it's all correct. I tell you what, just being inside a default DE6 when you've got the museum one just feels like going in a public toilet, doesn't it? It is horrible. Absolutely horrible. Anyway, it's done the job. The DH4 and the DE6 has done the job. I don't know how much fuel. We didn't use much fuel on this because I only used it later on. The DH4 has used about 1/4 of a tank. And I'm sure I just saw rain. I did. I saw rain. That could spell disaster. Rain could spell disaster. Getting this out of the harbour in the rain is not going to happen. I thought the weather forecast was misty. I don't remember rain being forecast. We may have to wait this one out a little bit, because we are pretty much on the limit of what this is capable of, and in the wet, I don't think it'll have the grip. I did not anticipate that. But that mist has rolled in, hasn't it? Look at this. It was a beautiful sunny afternoon, and now it really isn't. Okay, I'm going to stop this about here. We're going to have to go and get the rest of the loco set off the front there and bring it back here. Okay, brake cutters out. Brake cutters in. Lovely. That took a little while to stop, didn't it? Right, let's have a double check on this. So basically, I'm expecting LH30 to be up front, which it is. Actually, I'm going to write down the length of these as well. So that's 130 meters. And then the next one I'm expecting to be connected is this one here, which is FH81. That's 119 meters. And then after that, we're expecting the 3 silver cars, which are 44 meters. That's job 41. After that, we're expecting this lot here, which is quite a lot. This is 253 meters long. FH00, that's quite a big job, that one. And then after that lot, keep going, you can see this is a long one. So that one we're expecting 102 meters, which is gasoline and diesel, and that is FH47. That one, then that one. Then we've got more gasoline and diesel, if we can get over here. This is going to be 189 meters. And that's going to be back here somewhere. Trouble is, these are all the same. Where's the job number? FH79, which is that one. And after that, on the back, and I can't even... Oh, there they are. Just at the back there is FH07, the 3... If I get up here... Can I get up here? Yeah, the 3 ammonia cars are just there. And that is the lot, isn't it? Because, oh, plus this one. Hang on a second, let me... What's that one there? Tooling to the far... Oh my god. Hang on, I'm going to have to pull this forward. If I go any further west, it'll potentially cancel all the jobs. And you can see, if I go to the back of this train, I have no wireless control. So just delivering these is going to be somewhat of a challenge. Let's release the brakes. This job is definitely going to come with its challenges. Now, the front of the train, I can go forward. Let's think. The front of the train is currently here. I've got stuff parked over here, so we should be good for all that length there. But don't forget, I'm going to need a bit of a run up here just to get out of this harbour, so I don't want to go too far forward, otherwise I'm going to end up having to reverse back again anyway. But I do need to check this job. Yeah, you can see the rain is making the track slippy, which is, you know, it's already a struggle moving this lot. Moving this lot in the rain is just going to be ridiculous. Right, so I've moved it forward a bit. Let's quickly have a look at this. This is FH07, which should be these ammonium nitrate cars. FH07, which they are. So we'll put that one back. And then the last one is this one here, which is also going to the farm. This will be our first drop. This is a tooling FH14. Okay, so everything looks good. The back of the train is over there somewhere. The front of the train is all the way down here. I think what I'm going to do is go back to the station and just have a look at what the weather's going to do, because I'm not travelling in this. I need to let it dry out a little bit and then haul out of the harbour. Right, so I have now reversed this DE6 and Slug up to the rest of it all. And that is our train assembled, but this DE6 and this DH4 are not running. But if I just fly down the length here, you can pretty much see just how big this train is. It's quite a bit. There it is. That's the back of it right there. There's quite a lot of train. What I'm going to do now is run into the station, see what the weather forecast says it's going to do. So let's go and do that. Because I seem to remember seeing some hazy stuff on the weather forecast, but I don't remember actual rain being forecast. Yeah. What time is it? Yeah, there's the hazy stuff, but I thought that was just haze, or fog, not really rain. It's due to not be there by midnight, that's for sure. Have we got any fees to pay? No, not licenses, fees. Okay, that one, I'm going to clear that one. Oops, I've got my wallet. My hotkey for my wallet's being borrowed. There we go. Just want to pay that one, because that one we're currently running, but the other one was the one that I serviced and left in the yard over there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to push this back a little bit, I think. We should be alright with 1D6, just pushing back up that slope. This is not really enough of a run up here. I think the weather's settling down, if I'm honest. I think the weather is drying out. It was just a little bit of a flurry of weather. Did I leave the handbrake on? It was a temporary thing, it's now gone. I reckon we are pretty much going to be hauling this uphill at night, which is going to be interesting because I won't be able to see anything that train's doing. Now what I can do while we're reversing here is quickly add up the length of our train. So we was looking at 130 meters plus 119 plus 44 plus 253 plus 102 plus 189 plus 70... Is that a 3 or an 8? I'll say 8. Plus the length of our locomotives, which is 68, for a grand total... I messed it up. One sec, let me do that again. 130 plus 119 plus 44 plus 253, 102, 189, 78 plus 68 equals 983. Wow. 983 meters. So on our thing down here, we are pretty much on the limit of this thing. That's a kilometer. That's 990. That's the limit of that thing, basically. How much of a run up we'll need, I don't know. I want to be doing 40 consistently before that slope, and then we're just going to have to put the power down and hold it at 40. That's what's going to happen. There we go, should do it. Okay, let's hit the brakes. Right guys, we're all set for that monster job. 983 meters, 3,148 tons. I need to fire up the other D6 and the DH4 and then we're good to haul. This video primarily was about recovering the Slug and deciding what to do next, and we could have done a big military job and I probably would have been paid by now, to be honest. But I figured that this was much more challenging. 8 jobs at once, and I don't know how it's going to go, but I do know that we're out of time in this video, so sadly we're going to have to pick this one up in the next video and see if we can actually make it. Thanks for watching guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Please give me a thumbs up if you did. Take care, happy training.